Today, Sepideh, Iliana, and I were going to perform a ZAJAL. What is a ZAJAL? The Arabic ZAJAL in particular, it's a poetic form of writing originating in the Andalus, sometime around the 11th century, and it means to raise the voice in singing. It was a sung poem consisting of a chorus, a body, and a back verse that would rhyme with the chorus. The ZAJAL grew as an art form when Muslim conquerors crossed into North Africa to Spain, bringing with them their culture, their language, and of course, literary practices from the early 700s to the end of the 15th century, almost 800 years. Arabic and Spanish literature became interwoven in this Andalusian period. ZAJAL is meant to be a challenge or duel, or at least have elements of those. They are recited at weddings, at celebrations, as a form of entertainment, and usually they're ad-libbed in colloquial Arabic, and they address affairs of the heart, identity, politics, social issues, religious issues, even scientific issues. The tone is cynical, but it can be angry and witty, even insulting. Typically, it's meant, as I said, to offer two opposing views. With each poet trading insults. But we are not going to do, well, we're going to kind of do ZAJAL light. Because our goal was not to challenge, but really to compare. You could say because there's been so much pain in these last 2 years, and having the same, and we really share the same views, and in these difficult times we wanted unity, not conflict, even if we can tinge it a bit with sarcasm and wit. So at least we got that from the ZAJAL. So you'll find that we are stylistically different, Sepideh and I. Sepideh follows the tradition of the Persian poets. As for me, I'm not tied to a particular style. We hope to keep perfecting it, and today we share with you our first rendition. Thank you. And Iliana is going to join us. Music. My destined friend, in this illustrious place we come together to speak of the mounting woes of Gaza while finding comfort in each other. In Sankofa, we are one people of the same linguistic trends, bridging the diversity of mankind. On Gaza, we treasure you all as friends. It feels so lonely at times in DC's rat-infested capital of marionettes to watch babbling fools tighten the rope around our bare necks. We are adrift in a land that rejects its newborns. Outside of the Sankofas, do we really belong? I rue the day we left our motherlands, old friend. I call you old, although we have just met. Our sister journeys from east to west we sailed, too trusting of the smugglers who sold us on the Holy Grail. From crowded Persian courts of poets to cinemas and strip malls, from the holy land of prophets to mega churches and prison walls.
در درس‌های آسمان دنبال یک درس بودم که شعر کنم. سایه های سکوت بر سر کودکی که از ما فرسوده است آهی به دلش باز می‌گردد. Iliana recite the English translation of my parts.
In the Skies curriculum, I searched for a single lesson, one I could turn into a poem. The unending day, I am the fruit of Palestine, an endless poem. Shadows of silence hang above the head of a child, more worn by us than by war. A sigh returns to settle inside his heart.
to whom I once was. From the cedar to the olive trees, I hear the wisdom of old men as they stroll down the corniche. Would we not have fared better to remain in familiar walls, the ZAJAL and the weddings, the debke tassel for the disco balls? We found only painful longing in the lyrics of Kulthum and spurted ketchup on our meat instead of lemon and toom. A Turkish coffee rather than a cheap bottle of wine, our grandparents' stories rather than scandal-filled soap operas. Give me any day one rubaiyat of Umar al-Khayyam. Give me and I'll transform verses of Khalil Gibran into a poetry jam. See, the Queen's English spills out perfect and flawless, while my native alphabets twist my tongue like a contortionist. I feel the ghost of Al-Mutanabbi wail to see his poetry collect dust, while the borrowed tragedies of Shakespeare sates our literary lust. We pulled up our skirts, and by middle age, a tummy tuck, Botox buttocks like Kardashian, and lips puffed up like Daffy Duck. So long we have been colonized that natural feels the parasitic grip of that mutating tapeworm, otherwise known as the Brit.
توان پدر روزهای تنهاییم بود. او قبر را اندوهگین سپری کرد و دستهای مرا از دور چون شاخه نبات فشرد. در چای اشک بست آنوفن. پدر شور و شعف را فریاد کشیده بود. پدر با شور انقلابیش مرا به راه نرفته برد، به دیدگاه نرفته، به زندگی نرفته. پدر و آقای مارکس هر دو یک چیز را دیدند. آقای مارکس تراژدی و پدر کمدی را دید. کمدی در رنگ‌های سیاه و آبی حقوقی، بشری و روشنفکری سرخ خاکستری از فریاد شرق مایل به غرب و گفت تمام نمی شود انگار. هرچه ما رفتیم، هر راه نرفته، دیدگاه نرفته و زندگی نرفته.
My father's strength, he passed to the west, heavy with sorrow, and from afar clasped my hands like sugar sticks, in tea and tears and Tylenol. Father once shouted with a thrill of joy. His revolutionary fervor took me down paths he never walked, to visions never reached, to a life unlived. Father and Mr. Marx saw the same thing. Mr. Marx saw tragedy, but Father saw comedy in hues of illegal black and blue, and illegal black and activist blue, human rights ran into luxury, the scarlet faded into the ash of an east crying out, leading west, and he said it never ends. Everywhere we went, was still the path untaken, the vision unseen, the life unlived. It never dies was still the path untaken, the vision unseen, the life unlived.
And your father lived a Marxist in the land of the most oppressed? Imagine if he were here in the land of free press. Our differences we healed with the wisdom of their words. But today we carve borders and surveil them with drones. Do you recall when communities reveled in the mosaic of their sects? Yes, the Sunni and the Shia sat uneasily on the same side of the fence. But we were brothers at heart, sisters at heart, wedded by our pasts, our language stitched together in the same colors and threads. We knelt to the same prophets from sunset to sunrise. We hamdulillah at every good turn like it were a surprise. We salamed in the day, we salamed in the night, We salam to the stranger and to friends alike, but see, the British were keen to throw fuel to a dying flame and begin the divide and conquer, otherwise known as the Great Game. From Gaza to Persia, imperialism sought its OPEC prize and found the lion in wait, his claws as sharp as his eyes. Tell me of the anguish that disquieted your heart when the tides of war came to tear us apart.
سنگینی آبها و قطره‌های نهایی کم و کیفی دارد که شکل می‌دهد به ریختن و تنهایی از جان که بالا می‌رود کم و کیف شکل گرفته است. رنگ صلیب، رنگ بخت بی‌رحم خدا و از دست‌های تو قصه ها جاری است. از برگ گل قطره‌ها چون شور مرگ، آری شور مرگ.
The weight of the waters and the final drops have a density, a gravity that gives shape to the fall. And solitude slowly rises from the soul, takes on form, takes on texture, the color of a cross, the shade of God's merciless fate. And from your hand, stories begin to stream from the petal of a flower, drop by drop, like the fever of death. Yes. Yes, the fever of death.
The tired lens of imperialism that has no time to relax. His play has no beginning, no end, no developing plot, no climax. The actors never live, but they also never die, and never weep enough. They wrap themselves in the same robes and don the same masks. One moment they are lovers, engulfed by the folly of their sentiments. Another they are mangled bodies inside their unruatets. The director is eager to perfect the night's performance for the matinee and rewinds the scene like a clock lost between night and day. Encore! The audience yells, applause echoing through the aisles. The director steps to the stage and takes his long bows. The curtains fall at last, but the actors stay, for the stage was their home, from cradle to grave. And the director, well, he goes to lay his head on the mattress of bones and slumbers to the lullaby of deathly groans.
آنقدر زندگی ما تحت شعاع عشق قرار گرفته است. آنقدر زندگی ما روحی در بدن ندارد که هر سه چشم بزرگ و چشم کوچک و دنیا ندیده به برهم زدن این چشم گذار عاشق می شوند و از سکوتی فراغبار فارغ. مگر می شود گفت یک دست صدا ندارد؟ اینجا حتی یک فریاد هم قصه در قصه می پیچد وقتی که کوچه ای نیست، شهری نیست و غزه‌ای. ما تقاص دنیا آمدنمان از روح‌های بزرگ را پس می دهیم. ما به حرف‌هایی که کاربردی ندارد چشم دوخته ایم، به غم‌هایی که کاربردی ندارد. مگر می شود گفت چشم ندوزید؟ کمی از قصه های تهران بگو، کمی در کوچه های تهران بشتاب، کمی بر جنبنده‌ای که هنوز جنبنده است عاشق شو. روزی به سمت عشق و آزادی رفتیم. هوای خونین شهرهای ایران بود و شعرهای ایران. نه، ما نمیگوییم، کسی از جانب ما میگوید که عشق است و آزادی، تمام آن چیزی که در دیارمان بوی غربت میداد، بوی جهنم، بوی سراب، بوی قرص تمام شده ماه و روزهایی تمام قد بر آب.
So deeply has love eclipsed the great, the small, the unseeing, fall in love with a single blink and leave behind the silence of separation. Can one still say a single hand makes no sound? Here, even one scream folds into another, a tale wrapped in tale. When there's no alley, no city, only Gaza. We pay the price of being born to the giants of spirit. We fix our eyes on useless words, on sorrows that serve no use. And how can one say, don't look? Speak a little of Tehran's tales, rush a little through its alleys, toward anything still alive, still moving. Once with love and frenzy, we walked toward love and freedom. The air was soaked in the bloodied scent of Iran's cities and the poems of Iran. No, it is not we who speak, but someone who speaks in our name, saying love is and freedom. All that which in our homeland smelled of exile, smelled of hell, of illusion, of the full extinguished moon, and days that drifted away, whole-bodied on the water. Of the full extinguished moon and days that drifted away, whole-bodied on the water.
I ask you, how much tenderness will a man need to quench his thirst for brothers lost by the dozens in one missile burst? Tell me, how much tenderness will his heart demand to fill the wells of sorrow that dot his forsaken land? Where but Gaza do fathers cleanse faces of children with the salt of tears and bury their last smiles under the rubble of broken dreams? I ask you, where but Gaza do angels ascend their feathers plucked and stained, while the mother recites her prayers to the madman's refrain? Tell me, what plunder will a mother's heart endure? Will she smell the yasmin again? Will the prayers cure? Every day is barren like the desert, even when it rains. The wombs of our seas once swelled with the bounty of their sands, but Gaza only hears the waves rage at the fishermen's empty hands. Barefoot Amin came for food, but instead fed the bullet. And Hind Rajab's pleas still echo at every turn of the tank's turret. What is left of Sha'ban al-Hilu if only the fire spared his screams, while Sidra Hassouna hangs from a wall, an unsightly masterpiece? What fortune it was to taste the fruits that from Gaza flourished, and smell the soil that its farmers' hands nourished. Alas, the West stays silent when flour melts into sand, children gathering their hamdulillahs for one crumb of bread. The West pinches its nose to rotting flesh in every sip, the fresh urn of Starbucks coffee with turbinados, sugar and milk.
غذا که فریاد قصه بود این گونه ساکت و در وقفه ها لقمه های نحیفش را تکه کرده است در جانی سیاه. این جنگ ها چقدر زمان دارند؟ این جنگ نیست، فرودادن شهری است به آرامی در شکم بزرگ جهان پر فرصت فروش، پر شکاف، پر موقعیت کاری که هرگز فرمان ایست نخواهد داد، که هرگز روی آرامش به چشم نخواهد دید. از فاصله دور صدای جیغ کشیدن استخوان‌ها، از فاصله دور ترکیدن قهقهه کودکان بی جهان، از فاصله دور انسانیت که گوش تا به گوش سر بریده شده و گرسنگی می‌سوزاند اعتبار جهان را. گرسنگی می‌جوشاند یک روز چون چشمه‌های آتش فریاد مردمان را. بعد یکی به من گفت که شاید دستهایش را روی جنگهایش بگذارد و فرار کند.
The food that was Gaza's scream casual bites torn inside a darkened soul. How long do these wars get to last? This is not war. This is the swallowing of a city slowly into the bloated belly of a world so full of bargains, full of cracks, full of job postings that will never, ever say stop. That will never, ever meet the eyes of peace. From afar, the shrieking of bones. From afar, the bursting of lips of laughing, worldless children. From afar, humanity, its throat slit from ear to ear. And hunger scorches, hunger boils the world's credentials until one day, like lava springs, the people's screams erupt. Then someone told me, perhaps he'll just place his hands over his wars and run. Perhaps he'll just place his hands over his wars and run.
Watch the elites spread their legs on their Churchillian thrones, dance and fed their national days on the whiteness of our bones. The ranty fines sit on their hamburger-heavy, foaming frappuccino-fed asses, while the famine frenzy of Gaza fumbles by the masses. The gloating and bloated feast miles away, meanwhile Gaza starves and falls in decay. Poundful pundits the virtues of war rationalize, then angle and haggle for their noble peace prize. How many Armani-clad men of the people would die for his land? And I will show you a valiant Sinwar, warrior-like till his end. These men, these vain, decrepit men and women as well, ossified liars who plunge their nation into hell, court jesters who rehearse the same tired script, juggling their scandals buried in Epstein's crypt. Some people, alas, applaud the masquerading progressives and find hearty conversation in genocide's positives and negatives. We will not let these buffoons speak for the Palestinian. No wily Witkoffs to chide us like children.
دنیا خفه است و من خفه تر. یک ساعت فقط به جنگ مانده. یک ساعت بلند تا چشم کار می کند، تا چشم تمام عالم کار دارد اما کار نمی کند. و من به چشم شما روزی را می بینم که از خنده می میرید، از خنده های سر به فلک کشیده می میرید. یک نهایت تا فاصله های ما مانده. همه چیز فراهم شده تا کاری دیگر، سلاخی دیگر، دماری دیگر، از روزگاری دیگر. روزگار دوزخی آقای مصدق، روزگار دوزخی آقای فاطمی، روزگار دوزخی ایران که دراز به دراز روی دست عالم باد کرده است.
The world is mute, and I more mute than the world. Only 1 hour left till war begins. A long hour as far as the eye can see, as far as the eyes of the world can stretch, and yet they do not see. But I in your eyes see the day when you will die of laughter, laughter rising to the skies, killing you sweetly. 1 minute away, 1 limit away, 1 breath away, and all that still divides us, all is set. 1 more night, 1 more butchery, 1 more madness from another age, the infernal age of Mr. Mossadegh, the infernal age of Sister Fatima, the infernal age of Iran, swollen and stiff, laid out across the helpless hands of the world. Laid out across the helpless hands of the world.
Yes, it's true, the empire's ashes smolder still, hungry for our lands, eager to kill. But the lessons of our past cannot be undone. We ail not from amnesia. To forget Musaddiq and Fatimi is second to none. Recall Gamal Abdel Nasser, no lightweight, to some Palestinians a hero. His picture hung in every uncle's bedroom and salon. No good man lets his people lay their neck to the sword if he were not ready to wrap his own with a hangman's cord. The past and present of our nations are forever wed. The darkness surrounds, but can't extinguish the revolutions of our dead.
آنجا که غرب غربت فریاد ماست، نه قاره های فرسودگی، و ماه در فاصله ای نه چندان فاصله با شب ایستاده است، چون گوشبندی آهنین خونین و جاری بر گوش بردگیمان آواز آسمان اخوت را در شرق دور آرام می کند. از ما چه بسا فغانی، از ما چه بسا درد بی‌درمانی به گرد تو حلقه زده. ماه ای سفید ترین پناه سفیدها بر کرده سیاه ما.
There, where the West is an exile of our cry, not continents of decay, and the moon stands not far from the night, like an iron ring, bloody, flowing, pressed to our ears of bondage, quieting the anthem of brotherhood in the distant east. What lament from us, what incurable ache has gathered round you, O moon, whitest refuge of the whites, resting on the blackness of our burdened backs.
From Algeria to Iran, from Guatemala to Gaza, we are all slaves to the empire, one way or another. Slavery's seeds were sown deep in pages of tired narratives. They germinate smugly in rote lines and adjectives. Uncle Toms and plantation owners linger in deed and dress. Today they parade as the deep state's whores and pedophile friends. They breathe life into old lies, old fears like a fashion trend revived. Lo, the barbarians are at the borders, the floodgates open wide. Into the beaks of fledglings they regurgitate slavery's tropes and sedate the mind with a capful of vomit and worms. A mere praise to Allah inspires the vision of Genghis Khan's hordes, 2 million strong, dangerous, savage rapists beheading boars. And here's another feast they devour and digest. The Goliath West may crumble without David the shepherd's prowess. Let us hope Gaza shakes the world from its webs of biases and exhume the lies buried in history books and atlases.
آقای پادشاه به سنگ اسرائیل سینه میزند که پادشاه ما سینه هایش لخت است، لخت مادر سگ، و از سینه های مام وطن شیر نخورده را گاز گرفته است. آه از ما گفتند که چون عهدی از دوران سرزمین معهود در گذار است، شرطهایش همه بیقرار، همه از جان ما طلبکار، سوگند پادشاهی را چون جام زهر خونبار می‌طلبد، می‌دوشد، می‌فروشد، می‌نوشاند که ساحره در تمام راه‌ها از پیش و از پس در فکر فرار و الفرار است. بیا 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 ای مرگ قندیلوار، بر ما ببند و نازل شو، مثل سعادتی بر فلق سپید خشمگینمان. آرامش باش ای مرگ بیقرار.
His Majesty beats his noble chest for Israel's holy rock. Meanwhile, our king parades around bare-chested, bare as the bitch that bore him. He's biting down on the milk. He never even earned his mother's nation's breasts. Oh, we told you, this is a covenant straight out of the promised land days, and it's passing right through us, with all its fine print trembling and shouting, demanding our very lives. The royal oath? More like a goblet of good old bloody poison. He sucks, he sells, he forces it down our throats. And all the while, the witch, yes, the one up front and in the back, she's planning her escape, her exit, her vanishing act. Come, 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 oh sweet icicle death, fall upon us like a mercy blow, like a blessing on our pale and furious dawn. Be our peace, you restless, ridiculous death.
How is it that the land of olives does not have one olive to spare, and the fertile soil bears the stillborn stalks of despair? When the gardens of Gaza once bloomed in the darkness, today not one carnation brightens the room with its redness. The fields of Gaza that once perfumed Europe's mansions sprout with the Anne Franks of Palestine by the thousands and thousands. We will turn poems to protest, our prayers into shields. Our stories will steal the rest of your most magical dreams.
یک قبر به اندازه استعمار میکنم، یک قبر به اندازه توحشتان که نامش را حقوق بشر گذاشته اید، یک قبر درست به اندازه فروش رفاه و آسایش به قیمت شرف ما، تا پیش به سوی افراشته شدن پرچم در نور، تا پیش به سوی روزی که نام ندارد اما جهانش عرب است، تا بیش باد روح شعر در فرسنگ ها شهادت و جاودانگی.
I dig a grave the size of colonialism, a grave the size of your savagery, you so nobly named human rights, a grave carved to fit the sale of comfort and ease at the price of our honor. Onward to the flag rising, radiant in the light. Onward to the nameless day whose world is Arab. May the spirit of poetry blow fiercer still through miles and miles of martyrdom and immortality.
Old friend, bury it all first, but before every treachery, every lie must be excavated, laid bare to the sun, exhumed and forensically investigated. Do not bury the last colonial master too soon after his last words. Surely the maggots and vultures must not be denied their hors d'oeuvres. He sat fat on our graves, carving the stones with our bones. Before we bury him, let the darkness tease and terrify his soul. We have lived for too long in the shallowness of words and deeds inept. Let us linger by his coffin that would bury humanity's debts. And as you suggest, we will gather the tears that fell with neither salt nor sorrow and water the seeds of the Arab warriors of tomorrow. Gaza will rise and before God kneels, for vengeance is his, and his alone. Hasbina Allah wa ni'mal wakeel. Thank you. We had a statement from the poets in Iran, and they wanted to share this message.
If you want, you just read the English one. Okay.
He writes, his name is Ali Reza Bahrami. He says, Dear Sepideh, I'm writing this letter to you from Tehran. The nights in Tehran are quiet again. My family is sleeping soundly in their beds, and there is no sound of air defense or explosion. but I'm ashamed of this quiet life. A few weeks ago, on a warm Friday morning in spring, we left home a few hours after the first Israeli airstrike on Iran. My son had an entrance exam for high school. The exam had been canceled because of the outbreak of war. They were not taking the exam for an unknown future. That day, we had to go to the cemetery to attend a family ceremony. Cemeteries do not close during the war. Between the canceled exam and the cemetery that was not canceled, we went to a cafe, the kind you go to once because you pass that street once. People in the cafe were talking about the attack the night before. There seemed to be something unusual, but I did not understand what. When a few hours later, I found out that 2 blocks from that above the cafe, the shattered head of a young poet, a 24-year-old girl, had been shattered between the cement blocks. I was ashamed for the coffee I drank and the egg I ate in that cafe on that street. Parnia Abbasi had been killed in her bed. Her sheets were pink and her blood was red. That night, Parnia's 15-year-old brother and parents were also killed. They had just moved into this house. They loved this house for the trees around it and the birds. Now the birds are still singing on the branches of those trees. I wonder if the birds are as ashamed as I am. But I have a guilty conscience because of that breakfast. Every night when I open the refrigerator door to drink water, I am ashamed. When I water the plants in the garden, I am ashamed. When I read the news every day that children in Gaza are dying of hunger and thirst. Today I read in the newspaper that a Palestinian teenage boy was killed when a food box fell on his head when the parachute of the plane failed to open. I remember that a few days ago I brought my teenage son an instrument, so I felt ashamed. We take refuge in humanity to escape the torment of conscience. We do everything we can to express a sympathy, solidarity. We share the pain and each of us takes a big piece, or we take it to the university, the office, the cafe, and the home ourselves. Each of us is a lighthouse in the middle of the city so that darkness does not fall on the world. From Tehran, I shake your hand firmly and bow. You are extraordinary people who struggle every day to keep the lighthouses lit so the ship of humanity does not hit the rocks and drown. Ali Reza Bahrami. Thank you. And another statement, sorry.
He wrote this statement to be signed by all poets in the world.
Okay. The monster of war is destructive. It is the enemy of people's lives and all human values that have been tried to be discovered for centuries. The monster of war is against all creation and is the beginning of destruction. It kills children and women. The demon of war also kills poets, the heirs of water and wisdom and light. Parnia Abbasi, an Iranian poet, was killed in her bed at home by one of the Israeli attacks on Tehran. She was 24 years old and did not have the opportunity to see the publication of her first poetry book. Heba Abu Nada was another poet who was killed a few months ago in the bombings of Gaza by the army of the occupying state. She was 32 years old and published several books of poetry. Rifat Al-Arair was also 40 years old, a poet and university lecturer killed in the same way. Poets are narrators of the beauties of the world and life who reveal the ugly face of war. We, the freedom-loving people of the poets of the world, with respect for the difference in human beliefs, condemn the murder of children, mothers, and poets everywhere in the world. We hope that politicians will reach a point of transformation, that they will read a book of poetry and then think a little.